Joining the show right now, a friend of the show, being that he knows TJ, called him the Minister of Confidence? What did you call
the Minister of Propaganda.
The Minister of Propaganda. Stephen Bishop joining the show, actor, golfer, friend. Nice to see you, my man.
Thanks for having me, man.
How do you know the minister over there?
Oh, man. TJ and I have known each other since probably 2005.
Yeah.
We used to run in the same circle. We used to hang out literally on a daily basis and sometimes for weeks at a time. So TJ and I are very close and have been for a long time. He's a great guy. TJ, can I turn around? Or?
You can. I just talking to the camera. I want to ruin
TJ,
your shot.
I'm so proud of you. I see you all the time online and on the show, and I see how big this has become for you. I cannot tell you how proud of you I am.
I appreciate
as your
that.
brother. Man, keep it going. I'm so happy for you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Stephen. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
We're good.
See you guys.
Thanks.
That's all for
next
me.
week, and then we got it. We're good. Okay. You and I have crossed paths in some funny places over the years. I think I first met you when you were playing David Justice in Moneyball, and you and David Justice have like a real deep friendship and connection and history. You were the perfect person to play that role.
Yeah, Dave is like my big brother and has been since '93.
So before Moneyball.
Oh, way before Moneyball. The David Justice story is this. When I was a junior college baseball player, one of my teammates came to the park one day and said, "Hey, did you watch the Braves game last night?" I said, "No, I don't watch the Braves. We're in the Bay Area. I watch the Giants." He said, "Watch the game." So I go and I see David Justice. And I'm like, holy moly, this guy looks exactly like me. And proceeds to go yard. And then later in the game goes yard again. I go back to practice the next day and I'm like, Coach, I want to change my number. I had a new favorite player at that time. I went to the Giants-Braves game when the Braves came to town, and I went to BP and I ran up to the fence and he comes running off the field. I'm like, Dave. And he's looking at me like, man, oh my God, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. I'd say, hey, man, you're my favorite player. My teammates call me Baby Justice and all this, that, and the other thing. He gives me some gloves. I end up going on a ride to Riverside and having a 22-game hitting streak with his gloves. I go back to the game. I tell him about it. He's like, that's fantastic. I get signed with Atlanta. I go to the big league clubhouse on my first day, and I'm in street clothes. And I'm like, Dave, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember you, but are you supposed to be in here? He's like thinking I'm stalking him at this point. I said, no, I signed with the team. I'm here. So from that moment, he put his arm around me and he says, in the big league clubhouse, hey, this is my little brother. You treat him like you would treat me. Whoa. And from that day, he's been like a big brother to me. Wow. He took me all around Atlanta when I was there rehabbing. And so when I met Bennett
Stephen
Miller...
Bishop joining the show. For those just joining us on the radio, Ben Lyons in for Rich. This is the Rich Eisen Show.
When I met Bennett Miller on my first audition, they asked me about my baseball background, and I told them, I played in college, I played professionally, but more importantly, I know David, and I know him well. So there's nobody on earth more prepared to play this role than me, unless you get David, which clearly you're not going to do, or else I wouldn't be here. So the second audition, Bennett says, have you told David you're up for the role? I said, I'm not telling him anything until I book it. And so after the fourth audition, I finally booked it and got to tell David. And then, the rest is history. And thank God he liked what I did. And we're still close. We play golf all the time. And, Dave is, Dave, if you're watching, love you, man. Thank you for everything in life.
I love it. They always say in Hollywood, it's the person who plays the role who's destined to play the role. Like you get the right actor for the right role. It's the way it should be. And there's no one else on earth who should have played David Justice in that movie besides you. When you're doing scenes with Brad Pitt in that movie, it's a big moment for you, right?
Huge.
In your career.
Huge.
The day before, the night before, a little nervous or do anything a little different. And what do you learn from a day like that as an actor?
Well, leading up to that, I had been fortunate to work with some Oscar winners already. Jamie Foxx, Billy Bob Thornton, and some very high-end actors. So I was prepared in that regard. But it was Brad, and Brad was kind of like my acting guy that I wanted to emulate his career. So I was nervous. Fortunately, I was in my comfort zone, though. I was on a baseball field, and I was in a baseball uniform with a bat in my hands. And so if there was any way that I was going to be okay with it, it was going to be in that context. And you know, fortunately, Brad was such a great guy. We did the cage scene, and I'm hitting. We do the scene. It's just me, Brad, and the director for rehearsal. And director Bennett says, "Cut on rehearsal," and walks away. And Brad looks at me, looks me up and down, and goes, "You got some skills, don't you?" And he walked away and left me in the cage alone with nobody with that hanging. I'm like, wow. Did anybody see that? No. Oh no!
Is I dreaming? It's real.
You know,
Brad Pitt real.
And you know, he continued to give me a lot of praise, and he was
great.
very generous. And Brad's a great guy. So,
no, it's been amazing to see your career after them, because I feel like then all of a sudden big directors start calling, you start getting on TV shows in a consistent way, and doors started to open. And then I crossed paths with you on like a golf course in the Dominican Republic. And I'm like, all right, this guy's doing great. He's at the David Ortiz Challenge, or, you know, the game of golf has now really paired nicely with your Hollywood career. And I feel like you're playing with a lot of actors. You host your own charity tournaments. Like, you do a lot with the game of golf. So how does Hollywood and golf mix in your world?
Well, I mean, there's so many actors and entertainers that play golf. And I had been playing since I was, 14 years old. My dad was a golfer, taught me how to play. And so when I wasn't playing baseball, I was playing golf. And, I playing in the tournament, like the David Ortiz tournament and other celebrity tournaments, I really enjoyed it. And I liked the fact that that they were doing it for charity and for really good causes. So I decided to try one of my own and take the best elements of all of the tournaments that I played in and put them into one tournament and make it my own. And I've been, I was fortunate to have some of the greatest athletes and entertainers come out to my tournament. Barry Bonds played in my tournament. Sugar Ray Leonard played in my tournament. Dennis Haysbert, just so many names. Byron Scott, Jermaine Dye, Ben Lyons.
One of these names is not like the others. One of these names just doesn't belong here.
But it's, there's a huge actor contingent that plays golf, so it's really cool to be able to bond with some of these guys over a 4-hour period of a game of golf. I play with Stan Verrett from SportsCenter every week. We play Wednesday morning every week without fail, unless one of us is out of town. So it's amazing to be able to combine the two and just continue to play a sport that I love and have the competitive thing still there.
Stephen Bishop joining us in studio. Ben Lyons in for Rich on the Rich Eisen Show. There's something I love in my life. It's worlds colliding. It's when different people from different parts of your life come together, or people who might not know of each other, they get a chance to meet each other. I reference a round of golf you and I had the privilege of playing often. I brought my friend Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter series. You brought your friend Jim Brown, who's the greatest football player of all time. And I don't think Jim or Tom knew who the other one was.
Right.
And I think you and I were sort of sitting in the back of the tee box watching them tell stories about going out and partying in London and just cracking up, because neither one knows who the other one is or what they do at all. What does Tom know about American football, and what does Jim Brown know about Slytherin House? It was a really weird moment. Talk to me about your relationship with Jim Brown, because you just are so casual with it. Yeah, Jim's going to come today. And you're like, wait, what? Jim Brown's coming today?
Yeah, I met Jim at the driving range over at Whitsett. Yeah. And, I happened to be hitting in the stall next to him. And Jim's a great guy. And he's a really cerebral guy and very, very, intelligent and worldly. And, we started talking about golf, and he just asked me, hey, you want to come out and play at my course? And I was like, absolutely. I mean, just the thrill of playing golf with Jim Brown was one thing, but then we became really close friends. We would play, and then we would have lunch or breakfast after, because he likes to play early. And we would just sit there and talk for hours, and he would tell me stories about the 60s and 70s and things like that, and some of the experiences and some of the people that he met. Not athletes, but politicians and worldly people. And I just learned so much from Jim, and we forged such a tight relationship that one day I was going to be in San Francisco for the Super Bowl, just to be at the Super Bowl. And I was, I think, hosting a party or something. And his beautiful wife, Monique, called me and asked me if I would MC his birthday party, because the MC that they had fell out somehow. And I was like, I had just gotten off the plane and had no plans to do it. And she called right when I was on my way to my buddy's house, who I stay with, And I was like, absolutely. And it was just such an honor to be even considered for that kind of thing, for such an icon. And then to be able to do it was fantastic. And Jim, you know, he's been a really big influence on my activism and some of the things that I do use my platform for. Just seeing how he's done things in his life and his career has inspired me to do some of the things that I do.
You know, in addition to your work on the big screen, we've seen you pop up on TV shows, either in a guest spot or in a consistent role. I feel like being Mary Jane was a role and a show, and being with Gabby just kind of changed things for you or provided some consistency at a time when, as an actor, you know, you're always looking for the next job. But being a part of that show, what do you think that did in your career and you look back on it?
Well, that was my first job as a series regular. And that's a huge step for any actor. Being a guest star and a co-star, you're working your way up to having your own show and being a regular. So that was hugely instrumental in my development as an actor, having to be there regularly and learn lines and scenes overnight instead of, you know, a week and a half before where I could fully prepare for it. No, I had to learn I really had to expand my chops. And working with Gabrielle, she's such a professional. I mean, this woman is always so prepared and was so on point with everything that she did. And she was already a big star. So it made me up my game. And, you know, coming from a sports background, I was already kind of regimented. But this was something where it was like, okay, there is no room for error here. Not because she said that, but because I didn't want to hold her back or embarrass myself in front of her. So it really made me learn how to prepare the night before, show up, never flub a line. And you know, like I said, it was huge in my development.
That's the Bill Belichick approach. Do your job. Come to work, do your job, know your lines, don't bump into the furniture, and let's go home. And, you know, that's the end of the day, and we can all go live our lives, right? I think that's something that we can learn, whether it's for Hollywood actors or for athletes or whatever it is you do. Do your job, come to work, be prepared, and keep it moving.
And when you do it like that, people start to trust you and they start to like working with you, because you know, acting days can be long. If people are taking 10, 15 takes to get a scene in, we could be there for 15, 16 hours.
It's like a you know, afternoon tea time at Rancho. It's going to be like 6 hours.
Right.
You know, it's going to take a while.
And so, you know, I was able to fortunately, like I said, bring my A game and, you know, make days shorter for her. And you know, it was a great experience.
See, I could never be a series regular on a show with Gabby Union because I would just want to hang out with D Wade the whole time and just like drink wine and just hang out with them on Instagram wearing like just the most ridiculous Prada outfits.
It's funny, I never met him. He never was on set when
she's smart. She's like, oh, Steven's a huge sports fan. Dwayne, stay home.
But it's funny, my sister, Ashley, married Scott Merritt, the guy who played center at Marquette when Dwayne was there.
Oh, look at that. That's
so
random.
all of the whole Marquette team, including the coach, was at the wedding. But D Wade wasn't able to make it. He was in China doing a shoe thing or something like that.
I just picture Steve Novak doing the funky chicken. That sounds like a great time. That sounds like a great time. We got the Open Championship going on, and the fact that you're here on the couch chatting with me about your career really means a lot. It means how much you love TJ, because I know you'd be glued to watching the golf.
Trust me, I was watching the golf, getting ready to come here. I was.
Who are your golfers? Who are the guys you root for? Who do you have an emotional connection to when you watch the Open Championship?
Well, obviously Tiger Woods. You know, he was so huge for the game, and today he's clearly not going to make the cut, so he's walking up 18.
Him weeping up the fairway.
He's weeping, and the entire gallery is just going crazy, standing ovation. Tiger has been so instrumental for so many people getting into the game of golf and really embracing people that wouldn't have, you know, otherwise, without seeing somebody that looked like them excelling at the sport. So he is obviously my number one favorite golfer of all time. And then I've got other people like, you know, Ricky Fowler is a friend of mine who I met at a golf tournament, like I met you. Dustin Johnson is a guy that I like. Colin Morikawa is somebody that
That's
I like.
TJ's favorite player. TJ actually helped him learn how to play golf. Isn't that right, TJ?
Years ago in Glendale, Bishop, I'm sure I shared the story with you.
Colin Morikawa, yeah. No, he calls him.
Don't buy into this, please.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have never known TJ to pick up a golf club.
Oh, hey, wait a second.
I could be wrong.
You don't remember me and Sharon hitting the links all the time? Like, come
No,
on.
I remember me and Sharon hitting the links all the time, but I don't remember you being there. But there's some guys. Tommy Fleetwood is a guy that I like watching. The game is expanding so much, and there's so many guys. I'll give a shout to Josh Matz, a guy who's a young pro that I play with on a regular basis, who holds the course record at my club with 59. He's going to be somebody I think that's going to make the tour.
I feel like every golf course here in Los Angeles, there's some type of rumor like Dustin Johnson hit a drive over those trees, or he cut it around. Even yesterday, we were on the tee at Rustic, and you're like, I heard Dustin shot 40 here or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he holds the course record at Rustic. Actually.
Right. Yeah. I hear that. The 2 south at Mountain Gate, like Dustin's hit it on the on the green from the tee, like stuff like that.
Right.
Who's the greatest player you've ever played with?
Wow. Probably Steve Pate, because I think he may be the only tour professional that I've actually played a full round with. Mm-hmm. We played a match play round where, it was just me and him. We had a third guy, but he pulled out. So he said, hey, you want to play match play for, whatever money we played
Michael
for.
Jordan stakes, yeah.
And I actually got to play a match play round with this PGA professional, and he doesn't play my course that much. I play it all the time. So we go into 9, it's all square. Yeah. And I'm like, holy moly. And, I sink a 25-footer for par, and he sinks the 15-footer for birdie to win the front. And then, just pulls away from me on the back. But that was a great experience.
There's always times with us as failed athletes, right? When you're like, let me push it. Let me see how far I can go. And I remember
against a guy this is his sport.
I'm playing in a charity game once with Ryan Hollins. He goes, you want to see what it's like to get posted up by an NBA center? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then next thing you know, I'm like out on Figueroa.
Yeah, he's picking you up off the ground. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's the guy.
Cool moment.
Ricky's been, he's been there, but I actually haven't gotten a chance to play around with him. Mm-hmm. So, but there's been some really good golfers that I have played. Royce Clayton is a fantastic golfer. Like I said, Josh Matz, Byron Scott. I just played with him last week. He's a really good golfer.
The pro athletes who then find golf and, after their professional career, whatever sport they were playing, they approach it with that same intensity.
Scottie Pippen is another. He's a member at my club. He used to play with Stan and I. We had this was the greatest foursome. Stan Verrett, David Justice, Scottie Pippen, and myself. For one summer, we played every Wednesday morning with that group, and it was amazing. The competitive juices that these guys still have. David from, his huge major league career. Scottie obviously is Scottie. I mean, we would go at it, and we would, there was, golf is a gentleman's sport, but when you get guys that are this competitive there's still etiquette, but they're grinding. I mean, it's 100 degrees out, and there's guys out there grinding over putts, walking around, reading them from both sides, and and it's just it's so much fun, and to be amongst that kind of caliber of athlete and see them bring their major league or NBA mindset, intensity and mentality to the golf course is just so much fun to watch.
If you're a director out there for film or television and Steven says yes to your project, that means he really loves your project, because that means he's going to be away from the golf course. That's the challenge, I would imagine, at this stage in the career, right? Because as we wrap up here, what do you have next? You got a bunch of stuff coming out, I see on IMDb, but I know you actually really like doing it because it means you had to be away from playing golf.
Yeah, away from playing golf, away from my kids. I just actually got back from shooting Run the World, which is the show that I'm a series regular on now. And I was gone for 2 months and came back with no putting stroke. I've been leaving everything short since I got back from New York. I don't know what happened, but that's Terminal List is out right now with Chris Pratt. Did a movie called Hail Mary, which is coming.
I love to
Jack
see you and
Houston.
Hatterberg getting back together. Dave Justice and Hatterberg, right?
Yeah,
Chris played Scott in the movie.
Shout to Chris Pratt. He executive produced that, and threw me the alley oop on that. Gave me an opportunity to come in, and I was fortunate enough to book that role. And then another one called Tier 1 with Demetrius Shipp Jr., the guy who played Tupac in the Tupac movie. And trying to produce some things of my own, and do some entrepreneurial things. Got a coffee brand. Got a vodka line, just trying to make everything happen.
So casual, TJ, huh? Just a coffee line,
just
a
coffee.
vodka line.
No
I'm a
big
scratch
deal.
golfer. I'm on TV shows, just doing my things.
I
The life
kick it
of
with Ben
Stephen
Lyons.
Bishop. I love it.
Hey,
Good
can I
stuff, dude.
right now? Can I give a shout to my daughter Charlie? She's sick. It's nothing terrible, but she has been kept from school. So I just want Charlie, Daddy loves you. I'm thinking about you. Get well soon, baby. Okay.
But you were recently at the Dodger game, you said?
Yeah, one of the guys I play with is Jerry Hairston, and he does the pregame show. Him, Nomar, and Hartung do the pregame show for the Dodgers, and they had me on to promote Terminal List. And this and that, you guys have the greatest job, second to like being a big league ball player. You know what I mean?
Story
Like,
of my career. It's my last day doing this show. So yeah, exactly. This is a great job for Rich when he'll
does
be
not
back
suck.
on Monday. Yeah, absolutely.
but to get to sit around and talk about
are you kidding?
sports and just current events and just things that you really are into and be able to make a living doing that is such a blessing, and it just looks like it's so much fun. You know what I mean? My dad was a sportscaster when I was young, so I've had an affinity for this environment for a very, very long time.
You guys having a good time doing this?
Confirmed does not suck.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
I've had jobs that have sucked, and this is not one of them.
I worked overnight at Target before, so this is much better.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to give a shout out to my daughter is because when I was a little kid, my dad did that for me from the sports desk. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like full circle.
And she'll have that forever, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Hopefully
cool.
I can get a copy of that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Clip a link around here somewhere. Maybe get Del Tufo to do something
You
on
guys
a
have
Friday.
DVDs?
I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
You guys have VCRs?
There we go. We got some, I wish we had some unopened VHSs. We're gonna be looking for those.
Hey, Ben, let me ask Bishop real quick,
Yeah,
man.
what we got, TJ?
I think your first big movie, you did The Rundown, and you starred with The Rock. What was it like? What was he like back in those days when his career really was starting to really take off?
He was a great guy. It was funny, that scene that you're talking about where he comes to take my...
Right at the very beginning of The Rundown, if you've never seen it, Bishop
movie.
has a ring, and Rock
He comes to take my Super Bowl ring, and I, throw drinks in his face. And then he proceeds to wipe the floor with me. But while we were shooting that, the first 2 or 3 takes of the drink throwing in the face, I missed. It was The Rock. I threw it over his shoulder. You know what I mean? Like one hit him in the shoulder, one went over his shoulder. We cut. He leans in. He says, "Listen, man, I really appreciate the respect, but I really need you to humiliate me in this scene." And gave me full license to really get into that character and make it happen. Okay, let's roll it. The next take, bow right in the face. The next bow right in the face. So he was so cool, and he was already a huge star from wrestling, but in the acting, this was his first major role, I believe. And I actually auditioned. Peter Berg brought me into the trailer to audition for this role instead of to a auditioning casting studio or whatever. And I'm reading. I said, "Okay, Pete, I'm ready." He looks outside. "Okay, he's ready." And in walks The Rock. So now I'm auditioning opposite him.
In a small trailer.
In a trailer, yeah. And after the audition, Pete calls me. He says, "Listen, first of all, you were the best actor. Second of all, you were the only guy that came into that trailer and didn't crumble when The Rock walked in. So this is why you're getting this part." And so that was my first big job. That was my first major studio movie and the first of 6 projects with Peter. So Pete Berg, thank you again for everything you've done for me in my career. Without you, my career would not have blossomed. So I will never forget you for that. Thank you, brother.
So amazing. You watching films, TJ, right? And it's one scene in a movie can change somebody's life and career and trajectory. And you're watching the movie and it's just another scene in the movie, but you don't realize behind the scenes there's a guy whose life has just been changed after The Rock, beats the crap out of him in a bar.
Pete Berg came onto the show. Pete Berg was here a few years ago, and I was in the back talking to him. I brought up your name, and he just lit up, man, and he was very complimentary of you. So
awesome.
You guys do have that Cameron Crowe, Eric Stoltz thing where you kind of he puts you on a lot of his stuff, and I think that's super dope.
Yeah, no, that was the day also that I learned that I do not need to be doing my own stunts. And when I do them, which I forced them to let me do in Moneyball, when I do them, I need to take advantage of the pads that they offered me. Because when I was doing that scene where he was hitting me with the turntable and I had to flop face first on the wood floor at that nightclub, the first 3 takes, I was like, I don't need knee pads and elbow pads. Yeah. And then I come up with floor burns. And I'm like, hey, can I get those pads? It was a learning experience.
It's a great moment, though, for an actor's career to get, the crap kicked out of him by The Rock.
Yeah.
To get things going.
Hey, a lot of people still recognize me from that.
Hey, the guy from The Rundown. How you doing? Chris, we got some celebrity birthdays here as we close out the week.
Yeah, we do. Hold on, I wasn't ready. I don't know. I was looking up.
There we go.
Jesse Ventura.
Damian Lillard turning 32.
We were just talking about Beverly Hills Cop 2 yesterday. Bridget Nielsen.
Oh, that's right. Bridget Nielsen.
Forrest Whitaker, 61.
Cop 2. Forrest Whitaker did a lot of coverage on The Last King of Scotland. I remember that was one of the first big Oscar movies I did a lot of interviews for. He's terrific, Forrest Whitaker. What a great career.
Great actor. Great actor.
It's been a fun week, Bishop. I love having you here to close out the week. Rich was kind enough to put up the bat signal to let me come in here and do this, and I can't thank him and this incredible staff enough. I mean, the fact TJ, you know how I feel about TJ, you know how you feel about TJ. TJ's the greatest. Thank you so much, dude, for all the support this week. How you feeling? Feeling good for your Cowboys this year? Feeling good about the weekend, life in general?
Like we just talked with Bishop, I've had a lot of jobs in my life, and when I got to LA, I ran the gamut from being a talent agent to an assistant to producer, but like getting to come here and just basically talk sports and movies with your friends every day, this is the greatest job I've ever had, man. And this week was awesome.
I appreciate all the support. You've been amazing.
The way that the job has grown for you, TJ, though, is phenomenal. I mean, when I tune in and I see you sitting over there with your corner, and you've got you've got segments and you've got all these things going on. Like I said at the beginning of this, man, it's been such a pleasure to watch. And knowing you the way I know you, it couldn't happen to a better person. So,
and you've known me for years. Like you said, we've gone on trips where we've stayed out of town for weeks together. Would you tell these YouTube people I'm not that bad? Because I think
enough with it. No. TJ's a great guy, and he's a great travel guy too. He's a great travel companion.
No,
so on the flip
tell
side
TJ
of that,
to stop reading the comments.
Yeah. Stay out the mentions,
well,
TJ.
Bishop knows I thrive on chaos, so if you want to talk trash, I'm very good at it. So I like to give it back to him a little bit.
Yeah. One of my favorites though was when I think your bike got stolen. And you just let them have it.
Oh, Ben was here then. Remember when my bike got stolen and I went to Benihana's and they got my order wrong? That was a bad day for me. That was a bad day.
He let everybody know. I was watching his stories like, oh my God. No way. No, oh, come on. And the order's wrong? I'm talking to my phone like... I think I even called you after, like, bro, you okay? You need anything?
That was rough for you, boy.
That's what he gets for getting Benihana to go, but that's another topic for another conversation, another day. Del Tufo, thank you for everything. Didn't get the invite out to the boat. Maybe next time.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Chris, you're the best. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for a fun week. Making me smarter on the radio and television.
He's 49 today.
Who's that?
Brian Austin Green.
Oh, I love me some David Silver. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh. So I love Beverly Hills 90210. Favorite show ever. I cover the red carpet release of the DVD. Season 1 came out kind of late. I ask, Andrea why she's the first one there. Even that she's living in a Van Nuys, had to take the bus from her grandma's house. She's looking at me like, that's not who I am as a person. But David Silver didn't believe me. He didn't believe that I was like such a hardcore, diehard 90210 fan. 2 months before I had done a set visit on Transformers. This is when he was with Megan Fox. Megan Fox was at the event. She's like, oh, no. That guy's crazy, David. Like, he's a real 90210 fan. I'm even calling him David. It's Brian Austin Green.
Yeah, his name is Brian.
But I got the stamp of approval from my 90 fandom from Megan Fox, which then allowed me to interview David Silver, whose mother, kind of went off the rails. Father was a sex addict dentist. Oh, that's the character. Sorry.
Brian's actually a great guy, man.
I don't know him. I've interviewed David Silver a bunch of times.
When I was first in Hollywood, I moved out here and lived with a woman, girlfriend at the time, and we split up. And hey, you take the apartment. I'll figure it out. Brian actually let me stay at his house for like 2 months while I got back on my feet.
Wow.
He's a very instrumental part of my success here. Brian is like a brother.
Look at your career. Brian Austin Green, Jim Brown, you got The Rock, David Justice. There are all these people in your life. It's incredible.
Serendipity, man.
And TJ Jefferson. There it is. I love it.